What is playing? Hello, everybody. Oh, we're having our first technical difficulty. All right. I think I got that under control. Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing on this fine Tuesday? I'm doing quite well. All over the place. Did a recording this morning for study break and was working on some other things, and then been getting a lot of emails, but primarily a lot of y'all have been asking me, sending me DMs, sending me emails, sending me all kinds of messages. Thank you. Anyway, and Mao for the super sticker. Y'all really want me to cover this case. This is the Michael Oher conservatorship bombshell that was dropped on us yesterday, Tuesday, August 14th. Monday, August 14th. Today's Tuesday, August 15th. So, as I told some of y'all, I was looking for the court documents. I'm having a hard time finding them by, this number that's included on the top and stuff, the case number or the docket number, whatever. I'm having a hard time finding them. So this morning, somebody, what was her name? I think it was, let me make sure I'm saying it right. I put it in the description box below. Is it Katerina? Let me see. Hold on. It's part of the lives here. Let me look. Catherine. So I had an email from Catherine, and it said that the lawsuit itself it's not really a complaint because it's in an ongoing conservatorship case we'll talk about in a second, but the court filing itself was posted by her local Fox News, the local version of the channel. So yes, thank you very much. And she sent it to me. So I did not find this myself on the court docket, but she said that she got it from the news. So I'm going to read it as if, it's real, but I'm just letting y'all know the chain of custody here. I did not procure this from the court myself. Now I am going to keep trying to find it because I want to see the other stuff that's been filed in the case as well. Not only just this document, but this one is the one that is in the news right now. The one from August 14th, 2023. Okay. So let me pull it up. Hello, Amber. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And so I'm probably not going to be able to answer the comments. I see that Monica is in here. Hello, Monica, best mod on the platform, in my opinion. So I trust you'll be taking care of that. I'm not going to really be able to reply much to the comments once I get started doing that, or else we're going to be here for several hours. All right. All right. So as you can see, it was filed yesterday, August 14, 2023. Now, I have not read this document myself. Of course, I did skim here and there, but I might have read 5 total paragraphs of this whole thing. So I'm going to be reacting to it and giving sort of live commentary. Nothing that I say should be considered as legal advice. I am not licensed to practice law in Tennessee or anywhere, but in particular, never took the Tennessee bar. This is just my commentary, my opinion, my reaction, and I'm reading the document with y'all, primarily to show y'all that it doesn't really take a legal scholar to read this stuff. You can read it yourself too. So I'm happy to narrate along. All right. Okay, so it's the plaintiff is Michael Jerome Williams Jr., aka Michael Jerome Oher. So this is I don't know if I'm saying that right. I think it's pronounced Oher. But it's interesting to me. Comes as a surprise to see that was like a pseudonym. And then there's a cause number, which when you type this into the court, it doesn't actually give you the case. So in the probate court, so I don't know if there's a difference between this number and a case number. Really don't know. Okay. So, and it says demand for jury trial filed by Michael, petition to terminate conservatorship for accounting and other relief. So it is a law filing in a probate court petitioning to terminate the conservatorship. Now we know from the headlines, he's the one in the conservatorship and he's petitioning now to get out of it and for an accounting and for some other relief. Okay. He wants a final accounting in the above referenced conservatorship. He wants to close the conservatorship, and he wants an order requiring the co-conservators, who are his formerly allegedly adopted parents, Sean and Leanne Tuohy. He wants them to be required to show cause as to why they failed to meet their required duties, why they failed to provide regular accountings, and he wants them to be ordered by the court to show cause why they did not to show cause for their failure. Like, why did they fail to act in his best interest? And he's also suing for damages, it looks like, and other relief. Okay. Michael Jerome Oher, hereinafter referred to as petitioner. He is now 37 years old. He grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and Shelby County in the Hurt Village housing projects north of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. He was one of 12 children born to his mother, Denise Oher. On April 14th, 1996, when Michael was not quite 11 years old, his custody was awarded to the Tennessee Department of Human Services, the DHS, in whose legal care and control he would remain until he became an adult. Okay, so what this says is in 1996, Michael was 10 years old. His mother lost custody, and he went into the foster care system until he was 18 years old, and the state was responsible for him. The Department of Human Services was responsible for him until he was 18 for about 8 years. As a ward of the foster care system, DHS did little to help Michael, which does not come as a surprise to me, given what a lot of y'all have told me about these different CPSs and stuff. I haven't done any research myself. I'm just relying on y'all's comments. As a ward of the foster care system, did little to help Michael, and the DHS representatives that were supposed to be looking out for and caring for Michael ultimately lost track of him in this broken social system, leaving Michael to live on the streets, taking care of himself as best as he could. And again, he was 10 years old when he entered into foster care. He was a smart child, but his formal education was spotty to non-existent. He attended 11 schools in 9 years, and he repeated the first and the second grade, which does make sense. If he wasn't in school or he didn't have a formal, routine of going, then that would make sense, especially at such a young age. In the late summer of 2002, a kind man named Tony Henderson, the father of a friend of Michael's, so one of Michael's friends' dad, was witnessing firsthand Michael's focus and drive to pursue a better life. He took it upon himself to find a school that would agree to provide Michael with a decent education. So one of his friend's dad, saw promise in him, and he really wanted to help Michael because he was a hard worker. Mr. Henderson, that nice man, introduced Michael to the principal of Briarcrest Christian School, Dr. Stephen Simpson, who recognized Michael's potential in their first meeting, and along with other administrators at the school, agreed to provide Michael the life-changing opportunity of an education at their school. They agreed to admit Michael as a student, and upon receiving satisfactory grades, they would allow him to participate in the sports programs. Okay, cool. So this is Michael just kind of giving us the context, the background of his life. How did we end up here? What's going on here? Who are these people? What's really the backstory? So these are all just the relevant facts, and this is all coming from Michael's perspective, or his lawyer's perspective. In September 2003, Michael's junior year of high school, he began playing sports at Briarcrest. Oh, wow. He didn't start playing until junior year. Oh, yeah, I think that's in the movie. From the beginning, he excelled at sports. He made first string for the Tennessee All-Star game in both football and basketball. Whoa. He made whoa. His first year playing sports in 11th grade, he made first string for the Tennessee All-State game in basketball and football. And he was selected to play in the Army All-American Bowl his senior year of football. Okay, cool. Is like an Army puts that on, or is it like I don't know, what's that? It was clear that Michael had the size, speed, physical ability, and mental acuity to be a star in college and afterwards. Football scholarship offers poured in from the powerhouse football universities across the nation. All right, so he was really good at sports. He was a natural at it, and he started getting these scholarship offers. Michael was on his own at Briarcrest and nearly penniless. It took over an hour riding buses and walking to get from Hurt Village to Briarcrest. So he was traveling over an hour to school each day from where he lived to this fancy school, and over an hour back home. And sometimes he was having a walk, and they're saying he's nearly penniless. During his 10th and 11th grade years at Briarcrest, which would be September 2002 until June 2004, Michael often stayed at the home of the grandfather of one of his friends. And he had other people that were helping him out as well. He often stayed overnight at the homes of classmates whose parents saw Michael simply as an intelligent, polite young man who needed the basic support that no person, agency, or other social system had been able to provide Michael for most of his childhood. During the summer, after his junior year at Briarcrest, Michael also occasionally stayed with Sean and Leanne Tuohy. Where other parents of Michael's classmates saw Michael simply as a nice kid in need, conservators Sean Tuohy and Leanne Tuohy saw something else. A gullible young man whose athletic talent could be exploited for their own benefit. And on this part, I just want to remind y'all, this is being filed by Michael. So this is coming from him. This is him describing his own self. He's saying other parents saw me as a nice kid in need, but these people, they saw me as a gullible young man whose athletic talent could be exploited for their own benefit. The Tuohys, who took no legal action in juvenile court to assume legal custody of Michael, who was a ward of the state, they began inviting him to their large, beautiful home more and more often during that summer. Miss Tuohy began taking Michael on shopping trips, buying him clothes. Okay. Which so far that doesn't sound too bad. Like, I haven't seen any evidence yet in the lawsuit. In this filing. So just by itself, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, just because you didn't go to juvenile court to assume legal custody, it doesn't necessarily mean that you wouldn't want to still help him out and then invite him to your home and even buy him some clothes, right? Buying someone some clothes is not as big of a commitment as going to juvenile court and taking legal action, But I do want to read further because I want to see what else is going to be said. I'm just saying right now, trying to keep an open mind on both sides till I hear more allegations here. So in July of 2004, after Michael had already become a legal adult, he was over the age of 18, but he was still enrolled as a student at Briarcrest. Okay, so right, because what they told us was he was held back, or he had to repeat first grade and he had to repeat second grade, or whatever the two grades were. I think it was first and second grade. So he's like at least 2 years behind in school. So it would make sense that when he turned 18, he would still be in high school. Okay, so that was in July 2004. Michael already had become an adult. July, right? School's about to start again. So he just ended his junior year. It's the summer before his senior year. The Tuohys invited Michael to come and live with them. At no time prior to this invitation, during Michael's minority or during the time when Michael was not 18 yet, did the Tuohys take any legal action to assume custody of Michael from DHS through appropriate channels. So they did not try to get him to be their son or whatever in the foster care system. They did not try to foster, I don't know what the verb is for this, but y'all know what I mean. Like, they didn't try to take any legal action when he was under the age of 18. After he was 18, though, apparently something's about to happen. They also did not seek to become his guardian. That's what I was looking for. They didn't seek to become his legal guardians while he was a minor. Despite this inaction, the Tuohys did tell Michael they loved him and that they intended to legally adopt him. Michael believed them. He was delighted to be a part of a real and stable family, and he trusted Mr. and Mrs. Tuohy completely. They encouraged Michael to refer to them as mom and dad, and Michael happily complied. Okay, so they had told Michael, we want to legally adopt you, but they didn't do that. And Michael believed them, and he was happy because he wanted to be a part of this real stable family. He trusted them, and they encouraged Michael to call them mom and dad, and he did that. He called them mom and dad. Almost immediately after Michael moved in, the Tuohys presented him with what he understood to be legal papers that were necessary in the adoption process. So he was 18 years, but he was already older, like too old to be adopted. But they gave him papers, according to this, filing, that he thought were legal papers necessary for an adoption. Michael trusted the Tuohys and signed where they told him to sign. What he signed, however, and unknown to Michael until February of 2023, were not adoption papers or the equivalent of adoption papers. Instead, it was the petition for appointment of conservators. Ooh, how many of these have we read on this channel? It was the petition for appointment of conservators, which was filed in his case or in this cause August 2004. So right as his senior year was starting, they became his conservators instead of becoming his guardian. Instead of like getting guardianship over him before he was 18, they waited till after he was 18. He's a legal adult, and then they gave him conservatorship papers to sign. And what he's saying is he did not know what he was signing. He did not know that what he was signing was a conservatorship. He didn't probably know what a conservatorship was. Most people didn't until a few years ago. And he was, 18 years old. What he signed was a petition for appointment of conservators, which was filed in his case in August by Deborah Brannon. Brannon? How do you say that? Brannon? I'm going to say Brannon. Attorney of record in this matter. Miss Brannon was so close to the Tuohy family. Oh my God, I'm getting chills. Oh my God, this is ringing alarm bells, because what I'm thinking about right now is this all happened in Tennessee. Lou M. Taylor, the mastermind behind Britney Spears' conservatorship, who was Britney's business manager and also like owned a financial like firm that was managing some of Britney's money and all. Remember those conflicts of interest? She allegedly, according to what people are saying, has like this playbook. And it's like, wait a second. Lou Taylor owns a company, TriStar Sports and Entertainment. She represents athletes. This all happened in Tennessee. This feels very familiar to another conservatorship that I've seen, which is Britney Spears's. Look, the attorney who filed to put him in the conservatorship, look at what it says right here. She was so close to the family that Michael was encouraged to refer to her as Aunt Debbie. This petition, the one that Aunt Debbie filed on behalf of the Tuohys, Michael and his mother Denise, included a request that the conservators have total control over Michael's ability to negotiate for or enter any contract, despite the fact that he was over 18 years of age and had no diagnosed physical or psychological disabilities. Y'all see that? They'd have this lady that is very close family friends with them, so close that Michael's calling her Aunt Debbie. She's the lawyer. She filed for them to become the conservators. Now, in and of itself, I want to be fair, just going to put a little bit of commentary in here. This is my reaction. To be fair, I can see some arguments that are valid for getting a conservatorship in general, where it starts to be like, for example, like he is still in high school. You might want to be able to, for example, I don't know, like be able to determine what contracts he can make like inside the house. I don't know. If he's still a high schooler and he's living in their house and he's calling him mom and dad, I can understand wanting like one extra year of like basically like a guardianship, like as if he were under the age of 18. Just because he's still in high school, like I can kind of see like an argument forming somehow from that. But where it starts to get a little bit iffy for me is this: he can't negotiate any contracts at all. Like we're not talking about like him, signing the house up for 5G or something, or electric bill or something. Like, what about all these football contracts that are about to start coming up down the, what if people want him to, once he is in football, well, I guess he would have to sign, no, because he was going to college. But still, I mean, after college, he would be negotiating contracts and like maybe there would be some type of sponsorships. I don't really know all the rules and stuff. I know that the college rules just changed, but this is kind of seeming kind of weird, like that they specifically wanted to include this provision about, what does it say? Not Aunt Debbie filed it. I don't know. I'm trying to keep an open mind because I don't want it to end up being like, okay, every conservatorship's bad, but like it's kind of shaping up to be that way so far to me. Like uh, total control over his ability to negotiate for any contract or enter any contract. Okay, let's read the provision. Let's see what it says. This is what is it? The excerpt. So apparently the conservatorship petition said this, that the best interest of Michael will be served by this court granting unto Sean and Leanne Tuohy full co-legal custody, guardianship, and conservatorship of Michael. And they shall have all powers of attorney to act on his behalf, and that Michael shall not be allowed to enter into any contracts or bind himself without the direct approval of his guardian's conservators. I need to see what y'all are saying in these comments. Yeah. Anthalia. Parents don't even have this kind of rights over their own kids. This is going to get dragged out just like the TriStar case with Brittany. They will ask for a full accounting and they will fight it. You might be right. Oh my God, this is scary. I don't know anything about Michael's career and stuff. It's a contract to monetize him. What? I mean, I'm just beside myself because all I keep thinking is that movie that made them seem so good and nice and all of that. Okay. Let's read further. Let's see what else. Okay. Michael will further not be allowed to make medical decisions. Oh my God. What I have got to find this petition. Oh my God. I have reached out to Michael on Instagram and DMs. I don't know if he's even wanting people to cover it like to that extent and stuff, but if he wants to help me to get access to these petitions and stuff, I'll be more than happy to read them like I'm doing right now. Oh my God. So, all right. So here's an excerpt again from the petition that they filled out to become Michael's conservators. And it says, his best interests are going to be served if Leanne and Sean Tuohy get full custody, guardianship, and conservatorship over him, such that Michael cannot enter into any contracts and he cannot even negotiate contracts on his own behalf. And he is, not allowed to make medical decisions for himself. The guardians and the conservators have full and complete authority to make medical and educational decisions on his behalf and have full and complete access to all his medical and school records in the same vein as if they had been his natural parents and guardians. Well, here's the thing. Getting his school records from before 18 is one thing, but this seems to give them permission to keep getting all of his records. I don't know. I'd have to see the full petition and stuff, but this is actually like so kind of terrifying because like they said he doesn't have any medical conditions. What was there no interview? Let's see. We're still at the beginning. Let's see what else we can learn from in here. But I have a lot of questions right now at this point. Okay. At no point did the Tuohys inform Michael that they would have ultimate control of all his contracts. And as a result, Michael did not understand that if the conservatorship was granted, he was signing away his right to contract for himself. Michael was falsely advised by the Tuohys that because he was over the age of 18, that the legal action to adopt Michael would have to be called a conservatorship, but that it was for all intents and purposes an adoption. The Tuohys have falsely and publicly represented themselves as the adoptive parents of Michael. Continuing to the date of the filing of this petition, even to this day, they're calling themselves his adopted parents. Now, here's one question that does come to my mind. Their mens rea, their mental state. Like, did they get duped by their attorney friend? Did she say like, um, well, if he was under the age of blah, 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 then you could adopt him, but you can't. So, conservatorship, it puts you in charge. It's like you're his parents. But it's like, yeah, it's like you're his parents and he's over the age of 18. That's the issue. If you were his parents and he was over the age of 18, you would have no right to contract for him. So it's not like it's parents. It's taking away his fundamental, allegedly inalienable rights and assigning them to Leanne and Sean Tuohy. That's not like your parents. It's like your parents before you're the age of 18, kind of in some ways, I guess, but it's certainly not like your parents after that. This is this is owners. This is your owners. It's not your parents. Their foundation's website. They also call themselves Michael's adopted parents, where Michael's name and likeness is used to benefit the Tuohy's interests, and where Michael is claimed to be adopted. Such false and public misrepresentations have caused injury, irreparable injury, loss, and damage to Michael. And unless the conservators are restrained and enjoined from continuing to make such misrepresentations, it will continue to cause further injury and damages. The lie of Michael's adoption is one upon which the co-conservators, Leanne and Sean, have enriched themselves. So they have lied and said that they adopted Michael. And that lie, according to this lawyer, according to this filing, has enriched the Tuohys at the expense of their ward, the undersigned Michael, right? So their ward. So they have enriched themselves by lying about an adoption that never happened, according to this filing. And not only did they enrich themselves, it was at Michael's expense. It was at their ward's expense, and their ward is Michael. Michael discovered this lie to his chagrin and embarrassment in February of 2023, when he learned that the conservatorship to which he consented on the basis that doing so would make him a member of the Tuohy family, in fact, provided him no familial relationship with the Tuohys. In August 2005, so he didn't learn this until this year, February 2023. Now, I do want to just point out, I have seen there is a podcast interview with Barstool Sports and the Tuohy brother. And in that interview, he does say that Michael knew about the conservatorship before February 2023. But this filing that Michael filed yesterday in court, it says he did not find out about the conservatorship, or it doesn't actually say that. Let me be very clear. This is what it says. In February 2023, that's when he learned the conservatorship that he consented to didn't make him a family member with the Tuohys. So it doesn't say he found out about the conservatorship in 2023. It says he did consent to it. He knew it existed, but he thought it made him a member of their family. And he found out in February this year that it did not. It did not provide him with a family relationship with them. Like, he wanted to be adopted. Okay, so now we're going back in time again. August 2005, Michael entered University of Mississippi. That was Ole Miss, on a football scholarship at the age of 19. During his freshman year at Ole Miss, he earned freshman All-American honors. He excelled in the classroom and made the dean's list academically his sophomore year. So he was smart. He was intelligent in school. He made good grades and stuff. He was on the honors, the All-American honors, and he got the dean's list on his second year in college. So that's awesome. Okay. September 2006, The Blind Side, Evolution of the Game by Michael Lewis, a book based upon the life of Michael, was released. Okay, so 2006, Michael's still in college. A book about his life is released. Shortly thereafter, the conservators, that's Leanne and Sean Tuohy, began contract negotiations with 20th Century Fox regarding their personal rights and the rights of their then minor children, Sean Tuohy Jr. and Collins Tuohy. And that was their rights to a movie based on The Blind Side. Okay. So shortly after it was released. So it seems like 2006, this book comes out, and then 2006, Leanne and Sean start negotiating movie rights. Upon information and belief, the Tuohys used their status as conservators for Michael Oher to negotiate a contract with Fox for the movie The Blind Side. And this sounds very Lou Taylor-esque as well, in my opinion. Interestingly, Section 18, called Notices and Payments of all 4 of the Tuohy family members' contracts, lists Matthew Snyder at Creative Artist Agency. That's Lou Taylor's agency of choice. That's where Brittany's agent, Kate or whatever, worked or works or whatever, as the Tuohy's contact. But the agent attorney to receive contract and payment notices from Michael was listed as Debbie Brannon. That's Aunt Debbie. Okay, well, this is really interesting. Okay. So sorry. When I do this live, I kind of have to piece it all together and I kind of talk through it. So Section 18, titled Notices and Payments, this is in the movie contract, of all 4 of the Tuohy's family members' contracts with 20th Century Fox, they have Matthew Snyder at Creative Artist Agency. They have a legitimate attorney agent, somebody from Creative Artist Agency. That's like CA. That's Britney Spears' agents work there. Like, that's a huge agency. It's like the biggest one or second biggest one. But the agent attorney to receive contract and payment notices for Michael, the star, is Debbie Brannon. That's that Aunt Debbie lady, the family friend that filed to put him in the conservatorship. So the conservatorship lawyer is receiving contract and payment notices for Michael, and not this agent person. It's Debbie, Aunt Debbie, who put him in the conservatorship. And it's like, now it's making me think, like, the way that the lady was portrayed in the movie, and it's like, oh yeah, like, I want Sandra Bullock to play me. And like the way that Michael was portrayed in the movie, like as being sort of like simple, like, it makes sense that the lens through which it's told is that lady. Like, she was the one, according to this filing, doing the negotiations. Aloof. Yeah, no, this looks like it was a setup to me, in my opinion. All right. Upon information and belief, conservators negotiated for themselves and their natural-born children a contract price of $225,000 plus 2.5% of all future defined net proceeds. All payments were contingent upon Fox first acquiring Michael's signature. Okay. Conservators negotiated for themselves. Oh. And their payments were contingent upon Fox getting Michael's signature first. I wonder if the conservatorship had started yet. Upon information and belief, the Blind Side movie has amassed gross revenues of more than $330 million and still earns large sums of money. A contract also exists entitled Life Story Rights Agreement, purportedly signed by Michael Oher, dated April 20th, 2007, in which the subject, Michael Oher, appears to give away to Fox, without any payment whatsoever, the perpetual, unconditional, and exclusive right throughout the world to use and portray Michael Oher's name, likeness, voice, appearance, personality, personal experiences, incidents, situations, and events based upon or taken from Michael's life story in connection with motion pictures and otherwise from dates mentioned in the Blind Side book through the end of 2008 NFL draft, and non-exclusive rights to his life or life story after the 2008 NFL draft. Okay, wow. That's the longest sentence. That whole thing is a sentence. From number 14 all the way to here is one. Okay. So there is another contract called Life Story Rights Agreement. And that was allegedly signed April 2007. And Michael's kind of like, I don't really know. Like, I don't remember signing this. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But I get maybe. Now, when he signed that, he apparently gave away perpetual, unconditional, exclusive rights to portray Michael's name and likeness and blah, 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 blah. Even having to do with his name, his life story, all that. To the extent that co-conservators in any way facilitated the signature, Michael Oher, on this unconscionably unfair document, whether by forgery, trickery, or otherwise, or even if they simply knew about it and allowed this miscarriage of justice to occur, where the co-conservators and their children would reap millions of dollars while their ward would receive nothing, they would have committed a breach of their fiduciary duty so gross and appalling that they should be sanctioned by this court by disgorgement of all sums of money received from this motion picture, plus interest from the date of receipt of any payments, and also required to pay appropriate punitive damages to their ward, Michael Oher, as determined by this court. Okay. So what they're saying here is, all right. Michael says he doesn't remember. Michael says he does not remember if he signed this document all the way back in 2007, if maybe they forged, who even really knows? But let's say he did sign it. To the extent that these two conservators, these co-conservators, to the extent that they had knowledge of this contract and still even let him sign it as his conservators, meanwhile, they reaped millions of dollars and lots of financial benefit from this, and so did their kids, and they made sure to contract their protection with their lawyers, and they didn't make sure to do that for someone who was their ward and who was in their care, then they should actually be sanctioned by this court because that is a fiduciary duty violation. That's what this lawyer is saying. Again, I would just like to say, this is all Michael's allegations. I am inclined to believe them. I am inclined to believe that it is true, what Michael is saying. That being said, we don't have evidence yet, and we should keep an open mind until we do see all the evidence. We should keep at least some possibility open that we could see evidence that could change our mind, even if we're inclined to believe this. But I am inclined to believe it. I am inclined to believe. I have no reason not to. I cannot think of a single reason why not, other than it might just be, you know what I mean? So that's, just want to do a little disclaimer. Just want to make sure we're being fair over here. The Blind Side movie was released on November 20th, 2009, well after Michael had used all his NCAA eligibility at Ole Miss. Okay, so the movie came out after he was no longer eligible to play football at Ole Miss. Any remuneration he could have received from the Blind Side occurred after college and would not have affected his NCAA eligibility. Okay, so I guess remember how I told y'all earlier, there's like these rules for college versus rules for professional, and like who can appear and receive royalties for appearances and things, this, that, and the other. And this is basically saying the movie came out at a time where it wouldn't have even need to be considered. So we don't even need to consider that. Due to the massive success of the movie, Alcon Entertainment, why does that look familiar? Alcon. Alcor. That looks familiar. Alcon. Is that a pharma company? I don't remember. Due to the massive success of the movie, Alcon Entertainment, the successor to Fox, made a donation to Leanne Tuohy's foundation, the Making It Happen Foundation, in the amount of $200,000. And that was in 2010, in the name of Sean Tuohy. Upon information and belief, this payment was triggered by an amendment to the life story rights agreement of Sean Tuohy. What? Due to the massive success of the movie, Fox made a donation to the Tuohy's Foundation in Sean Tuohy's name. Upon information and belief, the payment was triggered by an amendment to the life story rights agreement. So maybe I don't know. I think this lawyer is trying to say that was a kickback for them amending the life story rights agreement somehow. At no time did conservators, Alcon Entertainment, or Fox inform Michael of the amendment or negotiations, nor was there any amendment attempted to ensure that Michael would benefit from the movie's success, in contravention to the duty that the Tuohys had to Michael as his conservators. Wow. If this is true, this is egregious. If this is true, this is egregious. If you really think about it, if you take everything that Michael's saying is true, let's step into the hypothetical it's true universe. And it's true that they told him they were adopting him, but in order to become a member of their family and have familial relational rights, they had to be his conservators. So if we're taking what Michael's saying is true, and then as a result of that, they become his conservators, and then they immediately begin negotiating movie rights and stuff like that, is how I'm reading it. And they get this fancy agent for themselves and their children at the Creative Artist Agency. But the person whose story they're basing the movie on, they didn't bother to get his contracts looked through and make sure that he had enough money to be fair to use his story and likeness. But instead, they took it a step further, according to Michael, and they took it a step further and amended the likeness agreement and maybe forged, maybe didn't. I don't know. I don't know if that's the same document or whatever, but somehow this thing gets amended. And then Fox is making payments to Leanne Tuohy's foundation, $200,000 payments right around the time that the life story amendments contract, life story contract had been amended. If all this is true, what he's saying, and if I'm reading it right, and then they didn't negotiate, like Michael signed that away for free, but they made money off of it. Is that what, am I reading that right? If I'm reading that right, and that is true, that is egregious. That is egregious. That is egregious if that is true. And then they needed a conservatorship for it, because if they didn't have a conservatorship, he would have been able to enter into those contracts by himself. He wouldn't have needed the Tuohys necessarily to be a middleman or a middle person. Now, some may argue on the other side, he wouldn't have done that negotiation without the Tuohys. So he wouldn't have gone and contracted that by himself. Maybe you're right. But it's still, the fact remains, the Tuohys financially benefited from the story, which maybe if they said, look, we're acting as your agents, we deserve to have some money because we worked with 20th Century Fox as your agents. But that would require for me him to agree to it. And if he consented to that, like, sure, I guess like agents can get paid money, but like, whoa, they didn't even give him a real lawyer, like Hollywood, like, CAA lawyer, but they all got a CAA lawyer to look over their stuff. And they just like threw Michael to the wolves, apparently. Thank you, Amber. Esther, yes, indeed. The only silver lining is that if he can get out of this, he has no familial relation to them. Imagine calling these people mom and dad. Imagine. Oh, this is a whole lot. I hope other people cover this case and we keep it in the spotlight. Y'all, please let me know if anybody finds any of the other documents. Okay. So basically the lawsuit is arguing, they violated their fiduciary duties, all their duties, as his conservators by benefiting themselves to his detriment. And this is what is being argued in the Britney Spears court case as well. She's arguing that her dad and others worked together to financially benefit themselves at her expense, to her detriment. She had to suffer a consequence so they could gain from her. And the people who did that, who had financial duties to her, fiduciary duties to her as conservators, they could be in trouble, is what is at issue in the Britney Spears case. And so here we're seeing it happen again. Contravention of the duty that the Tuohys had to Michael as his conservators. Okay, so what's the procedural background? December 2004, Honorable Judge Robert Benham granted the petition, entering the order appointing conservators of the person making the determination that Michael was in need of supervision, protection, and assistance, and that he should not be able to make contract decisions on his own. The order states in pertinent part as follows. So now we're going to read from the order from December 2004. It is in Oher's best interest to appoint Sean and wife Leanne as conservators of the person, and that they should have all powers of attorney to act on his behalf, and further, that Oher shall not be allowed to enter into any contracts or bind himself without the direct approval of his conservators. It further appears to the court that any and all medical decisions shall be made by the conservators, who will have full and complete authority to make these decisions and educational decisions on Oher's behalf. It further appears to the court that petitioners should have complete and full access to all medical and school records as if they were the natural parents and guardians of Oher. Okay, this is one of my questions I had. They should have just made this last for like 1 year while he was in high school, if they were going to do it at all. Okay, first of all, I just want to be clear. They probably shouldn't have done this at all. But if they were going to do it, why was it lasting all the way until he's 37 years old today? Why on earth? What on earth was this perfectly capable man in a conservatorship? That does not make any sense. Please tell me about the duration. Please. That is what I'm dying to know. Concerning the duration of the conservatorship, the petition indicated that it is Michael's desire that the petitioners be recognized as his legal guardians, at least until he reaches the age of 25, or until terminated by order of this court prior to that time. Despite that prayer, the court appointed the Tuohys as conservators to serve in that capacity until further orders of the court terminating the conservatorship. Okay. So there was a provision in the conservatorship petition where even the Tuohys themselves were like, yeah, okay. And it ends when he's 25 or whatever. The judge didn't even take that on. The judge said, no, we're going to do it until I say it's not a conservatorship anymore. And a lot of times you'll hear people say things like the judge was in on it. And it's like, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But this type of behavior is what makes you think, like, why on earth would this judge want to put a conservatorship over this man until further notice, until further order? Why? Like, for what? That doesn't even make sense. He was a child basically at the time. Not technically, he was an adult. He was. Technically, he was an adult. But like, entering into contracts and making your own medical decisions, like at some point you age out of that, I guess. I don't know, because it wasn't based on his age. The law has determined once you're 18, you make your own medical decision. Well, let me stop myself before I get started. Okay. So the court made it forever. The official Shelby County government probate court records show that a waiver of bond and the conservator certificate were issued December 7, 2004. No subsequent order terminating the conservatorship has ever been signed, nor have conservators ever moved the court to terminate or modify the conservatorship. So they're saying, look, the judge made it to where he had to actually put out an order terminating the conservatorship. There's no order that we can see on the docket. Conservators have never filed any yearly accounting, nor moved the court for any extension of time to file yearly accountings as required under the law. Conservators have never filed any required statement of fiduciary as to physical or mental condition of the disabled person to inform the court as to whether the conservatorship should continue. Conservators never sought to have the conservatorship modified or appoint other third parties as conservators due to their plain conflict that would and did arise between their fiduciary duties and their own personal financial interests related to the movie. Since at least August of 2004, conservators have allowed Michael specifically and the public generally to believe that conservators adopted Michael and have used that untruth to gain financial advantages for themselves and the foundations which they own or which they exercise control. All money made in this matter should all coincide and equity be disgorged and paid over to Michael. Okay, so since at least 2004, they let Michael and the public believe that they adopted him, and they have used that untruth to gain financial advantages for themselves and for their foundations. And they should have to pay it all back, is what this is saying. This is the sentence right here. If y'all take one short, y'all want to clip a short from here, clip this one. This conservatorship is unnecessary, as Michael Oher is oh wait, don't clip that part. Clip this part. Let me say it all right. This conservatorship is unnecessary, as Michael Oher is capable of handling his own affairs. Hello? The conservatorship is unnecessary because he's capable of handling his own affairs. He asserts that under the Tennessee Code, conservators should be discharged and the conservatorship should be terminated because conservators' failure to perform their duties and obligations in accordance with the law, because they failed to act in Michael's best interest, and because he's not under any disability that requires a conservator. When a court earlier determines a conservator is no longer needed and issues an order terminating the conservatorship shall terminate. Oher is not under any disability. He is a well-respected member of the Nashville, Tennessee community. Conservators' utter failure to adhere to any of their legal duties and obligations as conservators provide a proper basis to terminate their conservatorship. Should this court deem it necessary, Michael says he's willing to submit to an examination as required under the law to support his contention that a conservator is not needed. Since the conservatorship began, December 2004, conservators have had a duty to act in the best interest of Michael. Conservators are appointed to act in the best interest of the disabled adult person for whom they are partially or fully responsible in the discretion of the court. The trial court must specifically enumerate the powers removed from the respondent and vested in the conservator. The key obligation that conservators have to meet is the care of the ward's property, assets, and account for such at least yearly. The ward's property assets? Is it property and assets? I don't know. Except as provided in the subsection within 60 days after each anniversary of the accounting required in the law. Any other end of an accounting period selected by the fiduciary shall file sworn accounting with the court. And who had to do this in Brittany's case? Jamie and Andrew Wallet at some times had to do this in Brittany's case. They were the people responsible for taking care of the assets. But then who was reporting it to the court was Lou Taylor. Lou Taylor filed those accountings with the court, and sometimes she didn't, or sometimes she, did them wrong or whatever, according to Matt Rosengart. But here we have, they're saying, look, Your Honor, Michael's saying, look, Your Honor, they never filed a single accounting. They were supposed to do that. Why they didn't do that? They got to do it. A key obligation that they have to meet is care of his property assets, account for such yearly. They were supposed to file a sworn accounting with the court. Since the inception of the conservatorship, an important asset of Michael's has been the rights to his name, image, and likeness. Every individual has a property right in the use of that person's name, photograph, or likeness in any medium, in any manner. This court specifically removed the ability of Michael to enter contracts regarding his name and likeness rights and gave that right to conservators. This court removed Michael's ability to enter into contracts regarding his own name and likeness. Even though every individual has a property right in our own name, they had a property right. Y'all, this is removing someone's name and likeness and granting a property right. Hello, property? People's name and likeness is your property? Hello, does this sound like anything to you? Every individual has a property right in their own name, likeness, photograph, whatever. This court specifically removed Michael's ability to enter into contracts on his property rights to his own name and gave his property rights to his own name to his conservators as the new owners of the property. Rights, property rights. Consequently, conservators have the duty to act in the best interest of Michael's rights regarding his name and likeness and to account yearly regarding those assets. To date, conservators have filed no accounting and should now be ordered to fully account for what Michael's name and likeness assets and the use of them by either Michael or the conservator's benefit throughout the conservatorship. Conservators and their children collectively received millions of dollars. Wow. This is insane. This is insane. It does not surprise my surprise. Nope, hell no, not surprised. Not surprised. Conservators have never filed an accounting. They should be ordered to do so because them and their kids received millions of dollars. And Michael received nothing for his rights to a $330 million or more story that would not have existed without him. Oh my God. All right. Let's go on. Petitioner Michael asserts, absent the breach of fiduciary duties by conservators, he would not have had to incur the court cost and attorney fees to submit even this petition. He petitions the court to award him all damages and relief, including court costs and attorney fees that the court assumes is appropriate. Okay, so he cites the Tennessee code and shows the courts like what the code says. As set out above, Michael is suffering continuing damages due to the ongoing misuse of his name, image, and likeness by co-conservators herein, especially in conjunction with the continuing false claims that they adopted petitioner at any time. Petitioner is entitled to an injunction prohibiting conservators from using his name, image, and likeness. Now, I did see one like hater comment or whatever about this, like hater on Michael's side, and he said that like, oh, it's just so convenient that Michael's filing this. He needs to promote his book, and he just came out with a book. But I wonder if there's not more going on behind the scenes. Like, for example, Michael thought he had full rights to his own name, but this is just a speculation, theory, opinion, not facts. No one said this to me. This is me, the cogs in the brain wheel are turning. Michael does have a book coming out right now, or just came out or something like that. Is it possible that through another way he found out that he doesn't have the full names? Like, I don't know. I'm just speculation, but could it have been like Fox, knowing that they have exclusive rights to Michael's name and likeness, sent Michael a cease and desist and said, your conservators agreed that you weren't going to be putting out any books and any movies, so cease and desist. I'm just speculating. Or could he have found out another way? Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was Leanne and what's his name tried to get money from the book company, and then the book company came to. Could Michael have found out the true financial implications of this conservatorship somehow, some way through this book, this recent book journey? That would make sense. I could see a world where that happened. Let's see. I mean, maybe he'll say how he found out. I really don't know. Let's see. Maybe someone did some contract diligence and pointed this out to him. Yes, exactly. Yeah, he was in the NFL from 2004 to 2016. He just now says something doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Did he ever do any contracts with his name and likeness before? And did everyone just miss that? Did Leanne and Sean Tuohy really just sit around and do nothing as conservators? Like, my question is, why wouldn't they file to terminate it unless they were doing something with it all these years? Let's see what else the case actually says. He brings this petition and prays that the court require the conservators to appear and answer the petition, to file an accounting according to law, accounting for all sums of money belonging to Michael, and to pay over the sums received by them or either of them, which should have been paid over to Michael, plus interest from the time of receipt of such sums of money. And he's also asking that the court sanction Sean and Leanne for their misconduct, requiring them to pay compensatory and punitive damages to their ward Who, as the court finds appropriate, and to pay all costs and attorney's fees incurred by petitioner. Okay, and so he wants costs and attorney's fees as well. So then there's just like these notary pages, and that's it. All right, so I don't even know what to think about that. Surprised? No, I am not. I could see how this could be true at the start. He was really busy. I mean, there's definitely more to the story, even that I'm sure Michael could say that he wasn't able to put in the. Yeah, this is what I keep thinking. They named that movie Blindside. Like really rubbing it in. Like the people who contracted the movie, the people who did the contracts for the movie, they knew what was going on with the rights to this movie. They called it The Blind Side. It's a little bit on the nose. Most people trust their parents and attorneys to act in their best interest and wouldn't think to look into the details of legal stuff. Very plausible. Yes, agreed. Actually, I know someone this happened to. Same exact type of situation. It wasn't a conservatorship, but it was legal. They were family. They were family. Not technically, not blood related, but they were family. And basically this one guy pretended that he was starting a business with these other guys. And he lied. And he bought all these assets and stuff that he said was going into their joint business, and he put them in his own business. Well, these guys just thought he was acting in their best interest for years. And come to find out, by the time they found out that he had lied to them and he was stealing from them and stole from them or whatever, the allegations were, the statute of limitations had run out. So it's like the guy also like took steps to conceal what was really going on and stuff. But yeah, your family will lie to you, I guess. I mean, and it was kind of a situation like this too, where it was like he treated his own blood family better. And it just showed that he really wasn't treating these other guys as family. But I personally know people that happen to. It does happen. I could see how Michael would be like, they're my parents. They adopted me. They wouldn't be doing anything untoward, you know? Who are we to decide how he takes on this trauma of realizing he was used for financial gain? I don't think we're anybody to decide. That's kind of my point. The only person gets to decide how he handles it is him. We can't decide anything for him. But I do hope that he is able to get out of this without what Britney Spears is having to go through in that court. I sure do. I mean, I'm starting to feel this too, Susu. Lawyers who specialize in conservatorships and guardianships need to have stringent licensing processes because this is about control of a human life. It's something there. It's something to that. It's something there. I'm not a big fan of how it's just being used. And I mean, somebody even asked me recently, like, they said, so you think all conservatorships are bad? And it's like, I'm not like always like this, like all or nothing type of person, like I really don't. I don't think all like I don't think all conservatorships are bad. There has to be some good use to it. Or maybe they are all bad and I reserve the right to change my mind. But sitting here today, no, I don't think they're all bad. But what I said to that person who asked me the question, I said, I don't necessarily think they're all bad. I guess I could see them being used in a good way, like somehow. But all of the ones that I've ever looked into are bad. Yeah. Like, in my opinion, something about them's bad. Either there's a financial conflict of interest, personal conflict of interest, business conflict of interest, or by a lawyer on the case, or maybe someone has something else seems in the cases I've looked into to always take precedent over the true best interests of the ward. And I mean, that's honestly something we've talked about a lot in law school in this family law class I took. This is not legal advice. It's just commentary and opinion. We talked a lot about this best interest standard, and they use it a lot. Anyone who's been through a custody battle, anyone who's been through a conservatorship guardianship case will see this repeated over and over again. Best interest of the child, best interest of the ward, best interest, best interest. And it's like, I think we need to get a little bit more stringent and specific requirement on what the best interest is, because I guarantee you this judge would sit here and say, what? It was in Michael's best interest to have someone else negotiating his contracts. And that judge might really think that. So as long as the judge thinks it, the family thinks it, and the lawyer who's petitioning for the conservatorship to happen thinks it, it's in the best interest. They genuinely thought it was in Brittany's best interest to not have her freedoms. I think we need to get a little bit more specific with these courts and these judges on what we, the people, think is in somebody's best interest, because I can guarantee you one thing. This shit was not in Michael Oher's best interest for it to be lasting in perpetuity like this, and for it to that's a big aspect of it to me. If this had lasted 1 or even 3 or 5 years, I would be like, these sons of guns. But the fact that it was put in place to not ever really end, that's very suspicious and problematic to me. And it does make me wonder in the back of my mind if somebody's not trying to now use this name and likeness rights to either stop Michael from doing it, or to make a part 2, or to start, maybe Michael's starting to figure out, no, you cannot know. Maybe Michael tried to assert his name and likeness. Maybe he tried to enjoin them, stop them from, I don't know. It's just got my wheel. I'm like, why is this coming up now? And to a lot of y'all's points, maybe Michael really just found out in February. He took some time to process, and now he's ready to get this done with. Totally possible. We don't know. You don't know. I don't know. We don't know. But I have reached out to Michael, and I would love to know. I would love to hear from him. Maybe he'll just go live. We can do a Q&A. Like, I'm saying, like, on his own Instagram. We can go in there and ask him questions. It's funny conservatorship happens on people with money. It does, but it doesn't only. A lot of this is happening to other types of people who are vulnerable, who, maybe won't have anybody come fight for them, or, something like that. And there's all kinds of conservatorship abuse. There's conservatorship abuse where people will abuse the Medicaid or the Medicare system, where they'll get someone under their care to be able to get the insurance payments, and maybe they also get kickbacks from a rehab or whatever. Like, there's all kinds of conservatorship abuse. It's not just rich people. And that's another big reason I cover this. It's a lot of times easiest to talk about the rich people, because a lot of them are more famous and they're in the public eye. And so everybody can kind of relate to that person, at least remember hearing of them or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, that movie, I saw it. Well, that guy was in a conservatorship. And then whenever you realize how easy it was to get put in a conservatorship, then it's like, oh man, they could do this to anybody. That's kind of one of the reasons I like to focus on the big name conservatorships, because it is a representation or example. It's an example of how it works. And then you can start to see it trickling. You can see, oh, that happened to so-and-so's aunt. That happened to so-and-so's son after he got out of the rehab or whatever. And it's like, whoa, this is pervasive. Yes, rich and poor. Yep. Price of care taken by the state. Google is, and check out people with disabilities being abused. Yep. When someone truly needs help to manage their life, there's never anything to profit on after a client living and medical starts. Yeah, right. This is a great point. Like, when someone truly needs to help to manage their life, there shouldn't really be a lot to profit off that person. And that good. Yeah. Yeah. When profit is too easily made, a conservatorship is not appropriate. There's something along that line. The words aren't coming to me, but yeah, it's like taking over a person's rights and then like putting that person on tour to swing from the trapeze 5 nights a week or whatever. I don't know if that person needed a conservatorship. That seems more like ownership. Amanda had health insurance. I don't know if she did or didn't, because Lima did say in one of his Hey Secret Society, yes, I had put off my I didn't see that you were premiering. at the same time, and we were originally set to premiere at the same exact time. Me go live and you premiere, but I pushed mine off an hour. Yeah, when people are making money, like, too easily, like, hmm, it's more like ownership to me. Explains why he distanced himself from them after the movie came out. I saw her recently on episode of, Below Deck. Maybe it was Mediterranean. I don't remember which one it was. When you're in a conservatorship, it's probably hard to even get legal representation to fight or even learn the magnitude of that conservatorship due to the fact that you are their property and they have control. That's what we're covering right now. Do you think it went that way in case he got hurt playing football and they would get another payout? No, I don't think so. Cause if he got hurt playing football, I guess I would need more to the question. Are you talking about like a life insurance policy? Because you don't need a conservatorship for that. He made nothing off the books too. We should look into the connections between Debbie, the attorney, and the judge in that case. It's very hard to search that docket, though. It's very hard to search that docket. Yeah, what about all stories like this? I didn't need to put my dad in a conservatorship when he had dementia because I was able to help him get care with medical POA. Yeah, like and that's the kind of story that like makes sense to me. Like if I'm ever, something happens to me mentally, cognitively, or I'm in a place where I can't make a decision, I would sign that over to somebody. I'm not going to say who, but there's somebody I would sign it over to, and I trust that person. But like until that, why do I need to have somebody having perpetual? What was the grounds for this conservatorship? I want to see the petition. I want to see the petition. Michael or somebody who has the petition, please kindly send it to That Surprise Witness TV. No. That Surprise Witness at gmail.com. Putting someone in a conservatorship and forcing them to go out and do shows and make money off of them is enslavement. Right. It's trafficking, in my opinion. In my opinion. That's what I think. But innocent until proven guilty. This one I don't understand. I think he got the NFL. I think he got his salary. I don't think they got his salary. Wait, but that's a good question. Who did the salary go to? Was it just like a conservatorship of convenience where they like sometimes exercise rights? This is what I'm wondering. Who else is in this situation? It makes me want to look into any athlete that ever had a big movie made about them. And how do you find out if you're in a conservatorship? Like, where's the database? I mean, a lot of times this stuff happens without anybody's being interviewed or anything. Like, people just make stuff up and go into a court and say that I said something I didn't say or whatever. I mean, it's basically what we see happening. That's the thing. How did he get married if he was in a conservatorship? I was looking, this makes Bridgimon makes a good point. It shouldn't even be allowed to do books, movies, or clinical case studies on award in your care. And I actually read a whole thing the other day, like a whole um law review article. So you know how there's like medical journals and they write in the medical journals and sometimes it has like studies, but sometimes it's like opinions and sometimes it's like opinions based on studies and new methods, new norms, blah blah blah, whatever. So that's in the law world we have legal journals called law review journals, but there's all kinds of other journals since like law review was like the first ones, and then now there's all kinds. There's like tech legal and biolegal and all kinds of different journals. There's this like legitimate new law review article the other day. It was like one of the big ones too, like one of the Ivies or something, and it was like, what are the pros and cons of allowing a ward or allowing a conservator to submit to a ward's treatment or specifically studies, because I was looking up what are the laws about a conservator or a guardian submitting one of their wards in their care for an experimental study. Like, some people have stage 4 cancer and there's an experimental mushroom study, and maybe the mushrooms can heal the cancer. Maybe that person's in a coma. Maybe the mushrooms can make them come back from the coma. Somebody got to sign. Somebody got to say, yeah, please try. And maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't, but it is experimental. You know what I mean? Like, so I was wondering what the laws are. And to answer the question, turns out it's inconclusive. But a lot of states do allow it. You're allowed to do it. It's like by default, like, yeah, you can submit, but for the reason I just stated, because it's like if the person needs care, maybe they're, the assumption in the law seems to be the person who has the responsibility for the ward's care is going to make the best interest of the decision for that person. And what I've seen in my experience of just looking at these cases over the last 3 years, it's actually usually, I'm not going to say usually. Actually, yes. In the cases I've seen, usually that's not what's going on. Usually the best interest of the ward or the conservatee is not what's really number one. There's other stuff going on. There's other factors at play. There's other best interests being considered. Even if sometimes the ward's best interests are considered here and there. So I think we need to really challenge the assumption that somebody who has a ward or a child or somebody in their legal care and custody is necessarily doing what's best for them. When it's these conservatorships, it's high profile athletes and stuff making a lot of money, it needs to be a lot of scrutiny. And see, they've been able to get away with it. I'm not talking about the Tuohys. I mean, today is the first I've ever heard of this case at all. But a lot of famous people have been put into conservatorships and a lot of rich people have been put into conservatorships. A big reason is because they keep it so private, so hush hush. This person is high profile. I mean, I could pull up Bam Margera's. Should I do that? I'm going to pull up Bam Margera's Lima's petition for the appointment of guardian. I'm going to show y'all how there's stuff in the case file. He's famous and we don't want him to see. We don't want people to see because he's famous. Let me pull it up. I'm going through my files here. Okay. Let me just show y'all this, the ones that are still here. Why not? Let's look at another guardianship. This one is Bam Margera. And this is documents that were filed in, I believe this was Hillsborough County, and then it was moved to Pinellas. Okay. In the guardianship of BM, look, BM, they didn't put. So what you're looking at here is a motion to file under seal, and they messed it up. And the court was like, no, it's a public record. But this is what they were trying for. And what we're looking at right here is a public record I received from the public record. In the guardianship of BM, a ward. BM, look, already making it hard to search that person's name. If the Tuohys would have done something like this, it would have been in guardianship of, perhaps it was said MO or MW, because come to find out, Oher is not even his legal last name. His legal last name was Williams. So it wasn't under Williams. Now, it did say AKA Michael Oher, but look at this. This just says BM. Petitioner, Lima Takali Yevrimovich, files a motion to file under seal. Petitioner was appointed emergency guardian in Arizona, supposed to expire June 2022. He's receiving inpatient care. Filing another thing. Okay, look. Petitioner requests the above referenced filings. This is Lima's petition for BAM. I don't think we've ever read this one before. Lima requests that the above referenced filings and this guardianship case. Look at that. And this guardianship case, the whole case she wanted filed under seal for the following reasons. Why? Why did Lima want the whole case filed under seal? The ward is a public figure who has gained celebrity status and wishes to stay out of the public eye. The ward is currently residing in a recovery center for inpatient care. He suffers from mental health disorders and addiction. Lima believes it will be in the, look at that. The ward's best, Lima believes it'll be in the ward's best interest if this case is filed under seal and is not in public record. That's what Lima wanted. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Thank you so much, Danker, for the super chat. I wonder if his trading card likeness goes to them. I think it looks like they signed it away to 20th Century Fox, or maybe it's to his conservators. Look at this, what Lima was trying to avoid, which would provide for the potential, which would provide the potential for media attention and coverage. Oh no, like the First Amendment's going to happen if this is public. The First Amendment's going to happen if we keep this public record in the public, guys. Your Honor. Lima believes it's in BAM's best interest if nobody has First Amendment rights. Not public record. Why? Because then there would be media attention. And the media attention, before I ever knew about this case, before I ever even knew it was in the works, it was a twinkle in Lima's eye. They were already trying to set it up. That media coverage equals sign BAM having a relapse. Due to the nature of his fame, his involvement in the public has contributed to his mental health disorders. So being famous made him crazy, is what Lima said. Allegedly, in this sentence. It may be extremely detrimental to his recovery if this matter were to garner attention by being in the public record. The guardianship case was filed under seal in Arizona, benefiting the ward. Well, to hear BAM say it, it did not benefit him. To hear BAM say it, it was a setup, and people were lying about him and on his name to hear him say it. So was it in the ward's best interest if the ward didn't say it was in their best interest is the next question. Who really knows? Elaine McGinnis, Florida lawyer, filed on behalf of Lima for her. So yeah, this is what happens, I imagine, in a lot of public figure cases. Look how easy this was. Petitioner Lima just doesn't want this public record to be public because it's so ass. It's the most backwards thing I've ever heard. It should not be public because the ward is a public figure. Tell me how in the hell that makes sense. He wishes to stay out of the public eye while y'all are scheming to put him in this conservatorship right here, in my opinion. The ward is currently residing in a recovery center. Lima believes it will be in BAM's best interest if this case is not in the public record, which would provide the potential for media attention. Yeah, well, look what happened when the case started getting media attention. Some lies started popping out of the woodwork. Some lies started popping up. Some inconsistencies, some might even say. They all use the media to spin the narrative. I hate when life prevents me from watching here now. The lawyer, so the family has responded back to the lawsuit. They claim Michael knew about the conservatorship earlier than he claimed. And see, burden of proof, I knew that they did respond. And I did say that earlier up. I don't know if you were here during that or not, but I did see that the brother had said, no, he knew about the conservatorship way before February. And I actually pointed that part out in the legal filing of Michael's. I can pull that one back up. Because you have to read it carefully because it does make you want to imply, it does kind of imply that he meant he didn't find out that he was in a conservatorship until February 2023. But that's not what he says. It says it was in February 2023 that he actually realized that that the conservatorship that he consented to did not make him have a family relationship with the Tuohys. Let me see. Oh, they don't find the words. Let me see. It was like at the top of one of these pages. Was it? Did I pass it up? I want to find that part because that is the one thing that I did see. Let me go slower. That is the one thing that I did see so far of the family responding, of them saying, no, we have text in the group chat. He sent in the family group chat that he was going to expose them. And it's like, maybe he did know about the conservatorship, but maybe he did believe the conservatorship created a family relationship. And maybe it like actually did not. It's not letting me type in. It's not letting me search. What page was that on? Okay. Mom and dad. Okay, here we are. Look. Almost immediately after Michael moved in, the Tuohys presented him with what he understood to be legal papers that were necessary step in the adoption process. Michael trusted the Tuohys and signed what they told him to sign. What he signed, and unknown to Michael after February 2023, were not adoption papers or the equivalent of adoption papers. So I think Michael did know, and I think he admits that he knew it wasn't that it was called a conservatorship. I think his point is he didn't exactly know what the conservatorship meant and that maybe it was described to him in a different way. And that's where I'm keeping an open mind of like, let's see what Michael says. Let's see if we can get some more facts. Look right here, paragraph 10. The lie of Michael's adoption is one upon which conservators Leanne and Sean have enriched themselves at the expense of their ward. And that would be Michael. Michael discovered this lie to his chagrin and embarrassment in February 2023. And what did he learn in February 2023? It doesn't say that he learned he was in a conservatorship. No. It says when he learned that the conservatorship to which he consented, so it says he consented to the conservatorship on the basis that doing so would make him a member of the Tuohy family, in fact, provided him no family relationship with the Tuohys. He thought, according to him, Michael thought conservatorship meant we are legally bound to each other as family members, like an adoption. He thought it was an adoption of an adult, like we're going to be family members. One more time. He discovered the conservatorship to which he consented on the basis that doing so made him a member of the family actually didn't give him any family relationship. So the basis of him consenting to the conservatorship was that it was going to give him this family, formal, legal, official family membership as a Tuohy family member, but actually didn't give him no family relationship. So it didn't say he learned he was in a conservatorship in 2023. And I haven't heard Michael say that. All I can do is read this in this filing that he did in court. And it doesn't say he didn't know he was in a conservatorship. It says when he learned that the conservatorship to which he consented on the basis of doing so, that would make him a member of the family. It actually didn't give him no family relationship. So the basis was a lie. He consented to the conservatorship on the basis of a lie. You see how that's different than I didn't know I was in a conservatorship? Y'all understand? What movie? So there's a movie called The Blind Side, and a key red flag should have been, you always hear people say The Blind Side starring Sandra Bullock, right? Like that should have been a sign. It should have. There's this football player. He's in high school and he has a rough life. This is just from what I remember. And he's really talented in sports. Now in the movie, they just kind of portray him as a little simple-minded. Like they don't really portray him as like a academic excelling person or whatever, which this lawsuit does point out like that was an inaccurate portrayal because he was like on the dean's list in college and stuff. But in this movie, this high school, it's allegedly based on a true story. This high school athlete who, I don't remember if he was in foster care or not in the movie, but basically he moves in with this family and this family like buys him clothes and stuff. Yeah, he was definitely blindsided. Buys him clothes and stuff. And then eventually he moves in with them. And he goes to school with the kids. He goes to school at the same school with the kids or something. And come to find out, this person that the movie's based on, he ends up becoming a professional athlete. He was already like maybe in the pros when the movie came out. And it was based on his life. This family takes him in. And in the movie, they adopt him. Well, come to find out, that part of the based on the true story wasn't quite exactly true. They actually got a legal conservatorship over him as a disabled adult, even though he's not disabled enough to need a conservatorship according to his own self. Oh, wait, down the rabbit hole. Hello. Are you going to be covering this? I want to see your coverage. Paragraph 7 says whenever he signed was unknown to him. Okay, let me go see. Paragraph 7. Let me go see. Okay, let me pull that one up. So Rabbit's saying, no, BJ, hold on. It does say that somewhere. It says it was unknown to him. So let me read this part. Okay. Almost immediately after Michael moved in, the Tuohys presented him with what he understood to be legal papers that were a necessary step in the adoption process. Michael trusted the Tuohys and signed where they told him to sign. What he signed, however, and unknown to Michael until after February 2023, were not adoption papers or the equivalent of adoption papers. Instead, it was the petition for appointment of conservators, which was filed in this case, So I see how this could be read that way, like what you're saying, Rabbit. So if that is what he's saying here, then yes, then he is saying he did not know. I think it is a little ambiguous and it could be read another way, which is how I'm reading it. And maybe I'm reading it wrong. I think because it says what he signed, right? If you just take this part of the sentence, what he signed and unknown to him were not the equivalent of adoption papers. He's kind of said he thought he was getting adopted. He thought because he was over the age of 18, it's called something different. And that's another thing that he does say in here. He thought it was like, it's not technically adoption because we can't adopt you because you're over 18. But if you want to be part of our family, there's like an adult adoption called a conservatorship. But the way that I'm reading it would allow it to stay consistent, that he didn't know exactly what it was. The way you're reading it would actually result in, yeah, no, he definitely did know. Thanks for reviewing this. Yes, I'm reviewing as well. Yes, I was confused on that part. So I just want to be very, very abundantly clear. I don't know exactly what Michael means here. So Rabbit, you could be right in your original reading of it, which is he didn't know he signed conservatorship papers. And maybe that's how the Tuohy brother read it. And that's why he's saying, oh, he definitely knew he was in a conservatorship. Seems to me like taking the whole filing together, it's kind of giving Michael the benefit of the doubt, but maybe I'm reading it wrong. It's very ambiguous. I'm very clear. This is just how I'm reading it. It doesn't like exactly say. He said he trusted the Tuohys, signed what they told him to sign, and it seems like he might have thought he was signing the equivalent of an adoption for an adult to make you a part of a family. And I can imagine someone saying that. If I'm reading it the way he meant it, then his story stays consistent and it allows him to have known he was in a conservatorship, but just not fully knew what the legal ramifications and implications of a conservatorship were. But if he is saying, like you read it to be saying, Rabbit, or like some others have read it to be saying, if he is saying, I did not know I was signing for anything called a conservatorship, never knew about a conservatorship, I didn't even know they had any of these rights and any of this, anything at all whatsoever, then yeah, if he's saying that, then maybe there's some evidence he did know. But for me, I think he's kind of admitting he did know it was a conservatorship. He just didn't fully know what that meant. He thought it meant adoption or something. But I am very interested in seeing more filings come out in this case to give us more insight. Either way, he should have been required to have a professional lawyer look at it and sign away his rights. He didn't know, and that shouldn't be used against him. Legal words are confusing when you're not familiar at all. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And that's one of the reasons I read these documents with y'all. But I do want to just, be clear. Sometimes it is my commentary and just my opinion. Sometimes I'm reading stuff in a light more favorable to one party, less favorable to another. I'm never like lying, but sometimes, I do put a little opinion on it. And sometimes I read stuff one way, not even realizing it could be ambiguous. So when Rabbit pointed that out, that did make me kind of double take, like, wait, let me make sure. I still am reading it in the way that I was reading it before, which is like, Michael's kind of admitting he knew he was in a conservatorship, but he thought he was becoming their family member. He didn't realize what a conservatorship was. I kind of read it that way. That's what I think still, until we have more facts and evidence, then I reserve the right to change my mind. Burden of proof. I agree. There should have been a lawyer independent from the Tuohys, not Aunt Debbie. What is Aunt Debbie doing? Then she's the agent too? She's the agent for the movie? I don't know. I believe he did not understand what a conservatorship was because he likely wouldn't sign something so against his best interest. That makes sense. Okay, wait. If he got married, wait, where is somebody said something about if he got married in November 20? Okay, here. Sherry says if he got married in November 2022, it makes me wonder if his wife was the one who brought this to light. I wonder if she has even a partial legal background. What did Tuohy's gain from this? Well, according to the lawsuit, the Tuohy's gained the negotiation. Like they basically became the people who 20th Century Fox had to interface with for Michael's name and likeness rights. And the lawyers said that they've made like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And according to this filing, the Tuohy's their foundation gained at least $200,000 donation in connection with this. Do we know who his conservator is? Life of Shonda. Yes, we do. It is the people that claim they adopted him and did not adopt him. Leanne and Sean Tuohy. Believe it or not. The Sandra Bullock and the other guy. Cupcake said, I don't think it matters how it's interpreted. They just wanted his money. Did he get married with his conservatorship still in place? Yes, he did. The family is still collecting from the movie. I don't think Michael made $1. Marin said, please read the paragraph where he says he didn't know if the signature was falsified. The last part of that paragraph, he continues saying he never signed those papers. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, shoot. Let me pull that up. Okay. No, I don't want it to be read like that. Stop. Okay. Where is that part? I think that was 2007 that happened. Falsely, the lie, 2005, 2006. Oh, okay. So, Marin, this one is not the document for the conservatorship, I don't think. Okay, so Marin says, read this paragraph. A contract exists called Life Story Rights Agreement, purportedly signed by Michael, April 2007, where the subject, Michael Oher, appears to give away to Fox, without any payment, the perpetual unconditional right throughout the world to use and portray his name, likeness, voice, appearance, personality, blah, 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 blah. Michael believes that it says Michael believes that the signature on this document is similar to his own, very similar to his own. He does not know whether the signature was forged. However, Michael does know that he at no time ever willingly or knowingly signed this document, and that nobody ever presented this contract to him with any explanation that he was signing such a document or any document concerning rights to his name, image, and life story to Fox or anyone. So this, Marin, is actually about this name, this life story rights agreement. So he was already in the conservatorship for several years when this was signed, And it says, it does look like his signature. And it leaves open like the possibility that he could have signed it. It doesn't say his signature was definitely forged. What it says is Michael believes the signature on this document is similar to his own, doesn't know whether it was forged. He knows that he was never willingly and knowingly signed this document. So like he never willingly and knowingly, like maybe they gave him just the signature page, or maybe they, somehow he could have signed it. But what the lawyer is saying is he didn't willingly, knowingly give his rights to Fox away for the rest of forever. He definitely did not know he was doing that. So yeah, maybe somehow he was coaxed or lied to or tricked, or maybe he signed it even. Maybe someone forged it. But he did not willingly give away his name and likeness rights to Fox, which again is making my wheels crank. And I'm just wondering, did Fox try to enjoin or to stop the publication of Michael's book? Or is he trying to make his own movie? And they're saying, no, you signed away your name and likeness rights. And now it's all coming to light. It just makes me wonder. I obviously have no way to know. You're not muted, Nikki. I can see your stuff. It is true that Lou Taylor is trying to get Justin Bieber into a conservatorship. I don't know. Is that true? Please no more. I can't handle no more conservatorships. I want it to be less conservatorships. Oh, well, y'all need to know how to act in the chat. If he knew, did he know they called him disabled to get in it? According to him, it seems like what he's saying is he believed this was a way to make him a member of their family. It was kind of like becoming a real family member. And it seems like he's saying he was tricked into doing so, into willingly signing the conservatorship documents. Now, what he's saying he did not willingly sign was that document having to do with his name and likeness and giving away the rights to Fox forever. Because like his point in the lawsuit though is, even if I sign that, technically I wasn't supposed to legally be allowed to enter contracts, and Leanne and Sean shouldn't have let me even sign that. They shouldn't even let me sign that if they knew about it. That's like another one of his arguments. I knew those people were fraud. This lawsuit just came out now. How did Michael find all this out? Well, that's what I'm wondering. I want to know exactly. I want to know. That's what I would ask him. If Michael came on my podcast or my channel, I would ask him, walk me through the exact like step by step of you finding out like this conservatorship was what it was. Like, what was the February 2023 incident? His reaction back when the movie came out, he disagreed with it openly. I remember clearly. Interesting. This is a good question, Jesse. Did he sign away his own competency? Like, how can you do that with a signature if he isn't competent? That's a good question. I don't know. That contract should not have went through. Where is it? I want to read it. No, I don't have it. This is the only document I have. This is all. And that's why I keep saying, like, let's keep an open mind. We don't really know. We do have the brother coming out saying that Michael did know about the conservatorship to some extent before February 2023. My reading of this document implies even Michael is even admitting he did know about it before. You have a duty to read all contracts that you sign, even if you have a lawyer. Yeah, you do have a duty, but his point is he was being kind of tricked and coerced and like led on by the Tuohys, like in the context of this contract. It wasn't like Fox approached him and said, let's do a movie. No, like the Tuohys were in contract with them. So it's like, yeah, of course everyone has the duty to read all their contracts, but legally speaking, Michael didn't even have the legal ability to enter into contracts. The court took it away from him. So there's like other considerations going on. But in general, yes, like everyone needs to read contracts before they, sign them and make sure they understand them and know what they're getting into and all that. Being misled into signing a contract. He trusted his so-called parents. I think when they quickly have family pop up to discredit, they got something to hide. Could be. But sometimes, like, on the other hand, like if somebody was saying something about my sibling I thought wasn't true or something, like I might, go out and talk about it immediately. But yeah, like Michael, in my reading of it, he doesn't explicitly say, I did not know I was in a conservatorship. It says he consented to it. He admits it in his lawsuit. He consented to a conservatorship. I have been seeing talks about Justin Bieber in a conservatorship. I haven't seen anything lately. How can a court grant a conservatorship over a person who is capable? Well, they do it all the time. It's very weird. That's what all these care courts are. In this directed decision making, they tried to make us supported decision making. They tried to make us think it was some kind of great thing. propagandaed us with these PR companies and these paid lobbyists to make us think this supported decision making was some great thing. It's just like basically like a voluntary conservatorship. Yeah. So giving somebody the rights to be all up in your business for no reason. Didn't Britt go into hers voluntarily? No, she did not. It was always involuntary. Oh, yeah. It was called a voluntary conservatorship. That is ringing a bell, actually. Voluntarily. Yeah. I have to go revisit that. I don't actually remember. Yes, the care courts they bamboozled us. We were bamboozled with those care courts. Yes. And they made everything a disability. Anything and everything is a disability now. Like ADD, depression, anything. It's like any of that. Oh, okay, great. All of a sudden you have a disability and you're going to get kicked to the non-constitutional courts. Okay, cute. Love that. Oh, somebody said they already tried to put Justin Bieber in a conservatorship in 2011 and failed. So that wasn't Lindsay Lohan? I think she thought it was supposed to be for a year. It is legalized slavery. And that's the thing. This all happens in the probate courts. Guess where if somebody used to own another person and that other person would run away or escape. Those words sound familiar? So-and-so escaped rehab. So-and-so ran away from rehab. Yeah. So used to be back in the day when your property would run away, the courts that would be hearing it, or if your property would be harmed, the courts that would be hearing the property case will be the probate courts. That's who hears conservatorship cases. That's who hears these guardianship cases, the probate courts. That was the same courts that heard slavery matters. Yeah. So isn't that something? This is really honestly what I'm wondering. And a big part of it, critical thinking says, can somebody please explain to me why the conservatorship can't be challenged by the Constitution? Does having a disability deprive you of constitutional right? A big issue here is a lot of these cases cannot be appealed. There is no higher court to appeal it to. The other courts don't have jurisdiction over conservatorships. And a lot of times, no, like I think actually I remember learning this too, like family courts, which are kind of similar to probate courts, and sometimes they all are together. They also can't really be appealed. Like there's really nobody to really appeal it to outside of the state. Like you can't appeal to the Supreme Court or like, I don't even think even a federal court. Somebody in law school, correct me. I know it's something about family law and Supreme Court, but yeah, no, like no family law cases can go to Supreme Court or do go. And like probate cases don't go to the Supreme Court. So I think a lot of that has to do with that. Nah, sorry. This sounds like a rich couple who thought they had a meal ticket to impress the high-end friends with. Sadly, Michael was their ticket and they owned him literally. Police started to capture. Yes, they did. And that's what they do when your conservatee runs away. Look at Dahlia. Look at Bam. The family are multimillionaires. They didn't need his money. I don't understand that part of this. Good question. If they were already multimillionaires, why did they need to do this? Why would they why? If it's not a nefarious reason, that's what I would like to know. Somebody who has that idea in your mind, what's a good reason for them to have done this? Can you think of a good reason for them to have done this and this guardianship or this conservatorship is still ongoing right now today and he's 37 years old? What's a good reason? Like that's not nefarious. There must be some. I just can't think of them. So put them in the comments. The Miranda rights should be updated to state any emotion you display outside of pure contentment can and will be used. Yeah, seriously. Just because people have money don't mean they don't want more money. True. I think in case of his mom or dad, power over someone, I'm guessing, why not give him all the money instead of getting all of it themselves? I'm wondering this too, Claire. Has Sandra Bullock made a comment? Rich, richer, richest. Going for the third one. Maybe it was Aunt Debbie's idea. It is very interesting that they have not He's not a millionaire. I seriously doubt they did any of this for money. A billionaire. Custody matters are civil. You can modify civil orders, but appealing them pretty much is impossible. Child support, very specific appeals that can be made, not general ones. Oh, the family said it was necessary for his benefit. The mom has connections to his college. Does she? I could see where it was to protect him, but now that he's a grown ass adult, moved on, married, whatever. That's the weird thing about it to me is if they had included Michael as if he was their child, like in that agent agreement and truly looked out for his best interests, like set him up a trust and put money from the movie in the trust. And if they had done something like that and helped him somehow with that, like maybe, but like for me, it's very, very hard to get past the fact that they had a CAA Hollywood agent representing them in negotiating their rights for the movie. They made a lot of money off the movie. And Michael allegedly apparently made no money at all off of this movie, even though it was based on his life. And now, even to this day, Fox apparently owns his name and likeness rights in perpetuity. But the family like negotiated their own stuff with this lawyer and had Aunt Debbie negotiate Michael. I don't know. Anyway, I really don't know the truth of the story. I really don't know. Very, very interested in finding out more. I'm certainly looking forward to Rabbit's coverage. I hope she's going to be doing that today. And I want to hear more people's insight and see if any more insiders or whatever have come out and said anything. And going to keep an open mind on this one. But that being said, if the allegations that Michael is making are true, it's very egregious and it's very alarming. And it's another case of conservatorship abuse if what he's saying is true. So that's all I really had for today. And in the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean, okay, bye.